Hello, Rachel Papworth here from Green and Tidy, the online professional organiser, liberating you from the shackles of clutter and chaos for peace of mind and productivity. Last week I talked to you about decluttering books. And sometimes when you have a conversation and then you walk away afterwards and you think, oh, I should have said that. Oh, I forgot to say that. Sometimes making these videos is like that for me. So I make the video and I think about what I'm going to say, don't get me wrong. And then I make the video, and then when I watch the video back, I think, oh, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that? So loads of things occurred to me to add to how to declutter books, and so this is part 2 of how to declutter books. And I missed a whole category of books, which is coffee table books. So I'm going to include that in this category, and in fact, I'm just going to show you. I'm sitting my camera on a pile of coffee table books to make the point, to illustrate the point. My phone. So I'm just going to turn the camera around so you can see. I'm going to turn around, turn around, turn around. Why won't you turn around? Because I'm doing it wrong. Oh, how do you turn it around? Oh, it won't turn around. Okay, I'll just turn it around like that. There you go. There are my coffee table books, which I'm going to declutter. Sorry, so I'm going to talk about in this video. Right, oh God, sorry, get the camera set back up again. All right, so here I am. So other things that I forgot to say to you. So obviously one thing is about not acquiring too many books. And there's 2 really obvious ways to do that. The first is to use your local library, a point which was made in a comment by Francesca Chechen. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Francesca. Use your library and return the books when you've read them. I do that quite a lot. And then another opportunity, obviously, is to go digital, to use an e-reader to read your book. So I'm going to be honest, I don't do that. I still do like to read a physical book. But if you're happy to go digital, that's a great way to reduce physical clutter. So what else? I've got notes this time so that I don't forget to say anything. I thought I'd look at some of the reasons why people say to me that they keep books, and how valid those reasons are. So the first reason, obviously, is that you're going to read the book. You come across a book and you think, oh yeah, I meant to read that. Maybe you've had it for a while, but you meant to read it and you still think you will read it. That's completely fine. Just be realistic. Are you really going to read that book? If it has been sitting around for about 20 years and there's thick dust on the top of it and you still haven't read it, are you really going to read it? And if you are going to read it, great, get on and read it. Make absolutely certain that you do read that book and then let it go if you don't have any particular reason for keeping it. Secondly, people keep books for reference. Well, again, it's just about being realistic. Do you actually ever look anything up in that book? So you might remember last week in the video I talked about my language dictionaries and how I don't use them anymore. I tend to go on Google Translate or an app. And so when it comes to decluttering that shelf again, I'm going to get rid of those language dictionaries. People often think that books might be worth something. In fact, that comes up around clutter quite generally, and they might be. Sometimes books are worth something. So what I always say in that situation is find out. And then if the book is worth something, you can sell it and realise the money and use that money to buy something that you actually want. And as an example, I have here a book of mine, which you may also have seen in a previous video because it came up on my regifting shelf. It's a copy of the Just So stories. And it's actually over 100 years old, this book. So I was going to move it on once I'd realised that I was going to give it. Initially, I was going to keep it for my nephews. You might remember this from the previous video. And then I kind of woke up and thought, they don't want this book. And actually, when I read it, quite a lot of the attitudes behind it are a bit dodge. And I didn't really want to give them this book. And so I decided I was going to get rid of it. And I book crossed the other books that I was getting rid of in that way. But this one, I was like, actually, this might be worth something. So I've done my online research. I've gone online and Googled what it would cost to buy a book like this. And actually, I don't think it's very much because, as you can see, it's not in very good condition. But what I am going to do is take it to an antiquarian bookseller and get them to tell me if it's worth anything and either buy it off me, or if it's not worth anything, I'm simply going to book cross it. I'm not going to let it just sit around and thinking, oh, but it might be worth something, and therefore taking up space in my house. And then finally, and this is quite a big one, I think a lot of us think that or feel that our books kind of define us. It's part of our identity to have loads of books around. And look, that's fine. You know, if you want to have books on shelves, a kind of library at home, that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But just think about what identity it is that you're projecting. So if the books, or this kind of, all the books that you're keeping are simply contributing to a mountain of clutter, then they're not projecting an identity that you want to project. So again, nothing wrong with keeping books, don't get me wrong, but there's some things that you might think about in terms of how to let go of them. And then finally, the coffee table books, like the pile that this phone is sitting on at the moment. That's another one that I often get asked about. People say to me, I don't know what to do about coffee table books. I don't want to get rid of them, they're really beautiful, but they just sit there and nobody ever looks at them. My advice for coffee table books is to put one out on the coffee table with open on a nice page, an attractive page. And then hopefully you and also guests when they come around will be tempted when you're sitting by the coffee table to scroll through and and have a look at some of the pictures. And then every now and then take that book, put that book away, get a different book out, rotate the book that's on display. Maybe each time you clean, every time you dust in that room, or once a month, or whatever works for you. Change the coffee table book over, and then the coffee table books will actually get looked at. Some of mine are going to go anyway. I noticed as I put the pile out, there's one or two there that I don't even need to keep. But that is what I do with my coffee table books. I make sure they actually get used. I do the same thing with my photo albums, actually, so that people are encouraged to look at them. Okay, so there's a few more tips for you on what to do with books. And as ever, I would be very happy to hear your suggestions in the comments below. Also, please do give this video a like. It helps me so much. And I love your suggestions for videos to make in the future. In fact, I had a great one from Hilary on what to do with bags and suitcases and how to store those. So that is probably what I'm going to talk about next time. And I will see you in the next YouTube Live. Bye for now.